Now you put that under your pillow and the tooth fairy will leave you a penny. There ain't no tooth fairy, idiot! Now clean up that horse shit!
Welcome everybody to the Wild Wild West.
The American frontier in 1882 is a terrible place in time.
Oh, hey, look, it's the ice. Why is it so big?
So it doesn't melt. It's actually really interesting how they do it.
Well, Simon, it's been 40 years since the last comedy western film we had with Blazing Saddles, so it was about time for a new one, I think.
Yeah, well, Blazing Saddles was a pretty good film. I'd thought there'd have been another one in between.
Honestly, I can't think of any comedy westerns off the top of my head. There's got to be some.
I'm sure there's some light-hearted westerns, but...
Well, there's like Shanghai Noon.
I suppose that has to be classed as it, yeah.
It's not the same, like a film that just takes the piss out of the West, like Blazing Saddles. I mean, Blazing Saddles literally devolves into absolute ridiculous anarchy, where it like breaks the fourth wall by tearing apart movie studios and stuff at the end. So we've never had anything quite like that. That comes to mind, at least. Pretty much because nobody else makes films like that other than Mel Brooks, and he hasn't really, what was his last big movie? Kind of.
Robin Hood.
Possibly, yeah. Spaceballs.
Oh, Spaceballs before Robin Hood, I'm sure.
Is it? I don't know, but it's been a long time, basically, and the West seems rife for parody.
It's just a ridiculous era, and like even the westerns that take it seriously, if you step back a moment and look at them, it's like completely ridiculous. Yeah,
it's such a kind of unique time and place that. Yeah, it's so far removed from everything we have today, but Seth MacFarlane seems to be the man who fancies being the successor to Mel Brooks with A Million Ways to Die in the West, which of course is his feature follow-up to Ted. Interesting to see he didn't actually jump straight on Ted 2, even though that is coming.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good that he's trying like other things. It's only a good thing for you to branch out. He doesn't want to be doing Ted 3, 4, 5 for the rest of his career.
Well, no, yeah, that's right. And then, of course, that will have prompted some people to say, well, he's doing fucking Family Guy season 15 or whatever the hell it is, and it's been running dry for a while. But
he's been saying he doesn't want to be doing it. He's just still doing it for whatever reason. I
get the impression Seth MacFarlane's quite happy to jump on new projects, and it's more studio interference and network interference that has him kind of treading old ground, as it were, because obviously, I mean, he started on Family Guy, he moved to American Dad. I think American Dad is starting to suffer like Family Guy. It's been on it maybe a bit too long, but when that was kind of like in its third or fourth season, that started to get really fucking good as well. He's got a new TV show coming out called Border Town. I think it's called Border Town, and it's basically, it sounds just ripe for fucking ridiculous, slightly racist humor. It's about a town on the American-Mexico border. It's like apparently like divided down the middle.
Is it an animation or is it live action?
It's an animation.
That sounds great, though.
It sounds like it could be quite funny. Obviously, he's done Ted 2's in the works, but A Million Ways to Die in the West, again, it seems something that he'd kind of want to do. It's almost a little bit of a tribute to Blazing Saddles. It's very much that type of film. And kind of just to kind of explain what it's about. So basically, Seth MacFarlane writes, directs, and stars. He does the triple bill on this. But he plays a guy called Albert Stark, who is basically a pretty fucking shit sheep farmer who's stuck out on the western frontier of America, and he fucking hates life there. He's been born at the wrong time and place. He's not cut out for life in the West. It's far too rough, far too rugged, and he's just terrified that something's going to kill him at any moment. And as he points out frequently through the film, everything in the West does want to kill you.
Yeah. It's almost, the way he plays it, it's like he was born in our time and travelled back in time to the West, but can't remember any of that happening.
Yeah, it is like that, isn't it? It's almost, he is modern man who kind of has only the vaguest sense of, like, he grew up in, he's got the vaguest sense of like modern sensibilities, but he's stuck in like 200 years before he should be, 100 years before he should be. But I suppose
And that's where a lot of the humour comes from, is just his reaction and, well, just him trying to point out things to people about how ridiculous their town is and things.
Oh yeah, there's some of the stuff that goes on. The thing is though, that the stuff is crazy. It is cartoonish. Like, people are dying left, right, and centre. And as he points out again, like, nobody seems to bat an eyelid. Like, wasn't there's a bit where he takes his friends outside the town and is like, look at that dead body across the road. That's the mayor. He's been there for 3 days and nobody said anything. The highest ranking official in the town has been a corpse for 3 days. And there's people getting shot, exploding, getting crushed. It's just all over the place. And to be honest, the trailers for this film kind of are slightly misleading. They seem to suggest that the whole film revolves around people dying in random ways. But to be honest, that's kind of like a joke. That's kind of a joke that fades into the background by the midway point.
Yeah, it's even like that's the name of the film, and I've got a feeling that the whole point of the film being called that is for like the third act punchline.
Yeah, it really is.
But yeah, the main story is his girlfriend's broken up with him, and he's challenged her new lover to a duel. Played
by Amanda Seyfried and Neil Patrick Harris, respectively. Obviously,
yeah.
I think people will be able to make their minds up which part goes where.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, but Neil Patrick Harris, man, is fucking like.
He's delightful in this.
He is he is delightful. He's fucking so over the top. It's ridiculous, and his whole character is like it's just pushed into that mustache of his. Like everything about him is mustache and mustache culture, and that's almost the kind of like that kind of mustache culture jokes have been in Family Guy before. So
yeah,
it must be so like Seth MacFarlane has something really either against or just like a real bee in his bonnet about people with mustaches.
It's like the mustache cream and things, and the.
Yeah, I love the bit where he's like, "Oh yes, the mustachery, and mustaches are a very expensive hobby," and you know, it was just really funny. And Neil Patrick Harris is such a cunt in this movie.
Yeah,
he's such like a stuck-up bastard. He's really fucking funny. Amanda Seyfried kind of, you know what? Like, I like Amanda Seyfried well enough, but at the same time, I don't really like her. Like, she's okay and everything I see, but she never blows me away.
Yeah. And the same, she could have really been played by anyone.
Yeah, although I did like the jokes because I've heard that I've heard people make cracks that she's got big eyes and
those jokes really tickle me for that reason.
Yeah, it's been noted that she's got like kind of really big cute eyes, but I thought it was really funny when they were taking the piss out of it. But yeah, other than the kind of story of Seth MacFarlane being shit scared of the West and living in fear and misery, the story is Liam Neeson of all fucking people doing he's getting around these days. I love Liam Neeson. Like in his old age, he just kind of said, "Fuck it, I'll do whatever."
Yeah,
and
I like that attitude.
It's really good because we're getting some like really fun performances out of him.
Yeah, this is like I prefer his villain in this to Ra's al Ghul in the Batman movies.
Yeah,
he's such a good villain in this, and you know what? You could pluck him out of this film and put him in a serious western, and it would still like maintain its like integrity.
Well, that's it. It's like whereas he's like a serious outlaw from the West, and he stumbled into this like cartoon town on the map that he just had no intention of going to. And basically, so the story is like Liam Neeson is Clinch, who's like the biggest, baddest outlaw in the territory, and his wife. He's married to a lovely young lady called Anna, who's played by Charlize Theron, who's quite a few years his younger.
Yeah.
Again, more jokes cracked at that. But basically, he's off doing like ill deeds, and he sends her with one of his henchmen to lay low in a town while he's getting gold bullion or something along the lines. And she basically meets Seth MacFarlane while she's in this town, and they become friends. And the trailers would have you think that she trains him to fight Liam Neeson's character, but the truth of the matter is he's actually training to fight Neil Patrick Harris for the right to like be with Amanda Seyfried's character.
Yeah.
And it's basically about them kind of going around the town and seeing people die and cracking jokes and just kind of like pointing out all the absolute ridiculous things that go on in the West. Like the fucking... when they go to the county fair and they're doing the shooting gallery, and instead of like ducks or something, it's escaped slaves.
Yeah.
They're drawn in like the most grotesque fucking cartoon pictures ever. It's just there's just loads of kind of little throwaway gags like that, and it's quite funny. But I tell you who, it was maybe played out a little bit too long. But one of my favourite jokes in this film was Giovanni Ribisi's character Edward, who's kind of Seth MacFarlane's best friend, who's also a bit of a kind of, I don't know what, a bit of a nerd, a bit of a down and outer. And he's going out with a girl called Ruth, who played by Sarah Silverman. And I'm going to say, when I saw Sarah Silverman's name pop up on the intro, I was like, because she can annoy me a little bit. Like, I thought she spoiled Wreck-It Ralph for me. Her voice she's just a bit too loud and a bit too full on. I don't know if you feel that, but Sarah Silverman's playing this, but Ruth, her character, is a prostitute. So her and Giovanni Ribisi are together, except despite the fact that she's a prostitute, she won't have sex with him because she's a Christian and they can't have sex before they get married. And it was funny at first, but they just go like so far with it. Like, they just go into such graphic detail about loads of stuff. I mean, holy shit, there's some stuff in here that's just outrageous. And
it was quite refreshing to see, like, a 15 comedy that didn't resort to just swearing all the time, and it was like actual content deserving of a 15 rating. For example, when she has the semen in her hair.
Oh God, yeah.
And he gets it out for her.
Oh God, what's the worst part is it's really funny, but it's so cringing as well, because this guy, it's like, he doesn't say a shit about it, and when she's saying like, no, we can't have sex, he's like, well, could we please? And she's like, no, I'm a Christian, we've got to do the right thing. And then she goes up to get fucked by somebody. It's just cringing to see him like accept it and be really nice about it. And it's awful. But it was kind of cool to see Alex Borstein, who does the voice of Lois Griffin in Family Guy.
Yeah,
she's like the mistress.
Woman, the matron.
Yeah, the matron. Yeah. And I thought she was really funny in it as well, because she pointed out like how fucking ridiculous this situation is, and they just don't seem to see it.
Yeah, that's where this film was strongest, when it was doing stuff like that. At times when it let the storyline get in the way of the jokes is when I felt it was weaker.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It all tumbles along nicely. You're always smiling, and it's a very watchable film. And then it's just like every now and again you have your laugh out loud moment.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's nothing overtly missy about this. It lands hits more than misses, but most of those hits are fairly weak. And as you say, you do sit there smiling away at yourself, chuckling away at yourself, but occasionally there will be a kind of big belly laugh. I must say, when I went to see this, there was very few people in the cinema.
Yeah, it wasn't massively packed, but I will say that we had gone at lunchtime on a Sunday, so it's quite hard to judge.
Well, I caught an early evening showing on a Friday, and it was maybe me and 6 others.
I think I was as busy than that for the Sunday, though.
Well, yeah. I was surprised, but then again, Seth MacFarlane's very popular, his shows, and his Ted was very popular. But I think Westerns scare people off. I don't think Westerns fly very much with the general public. So I think that's maybe...
I'm also questioning, like, amongst the general public, how far the Seth MacFarlane name itself goes.
Well, that's it.
The publicity here was all about how this was the guy that brought you Ted. They weren't, like, if someone says to me, Seth MacFarlane, I think, oh, I like Seth MacFarlane. But for most people, they have to say something like, from the guy that brought you Ted, or from the creator of Family Guy or something, before other people get interested.
Yeah, well, you're right. And maybe in his next film, if this starts to do well, if this does well or it starts to do better, I'm not really sure how well or badly it's doing overall, but maybe, after his next film, you won't have to say, oh, he did this, people will just know it's become a household name, but I don't know, man. But yeah, you're right, there was some, it is generally quite funny, and I've got to say, I was surprised, because I had heard bad things about this film, and it's on quite a long time as well. That's the thing. It's on nearly 2 hours, just over 2 hours. Yeah, it's peculiar because it's one of them ones where you feel like it's wrapping up, and then it's like there's a whole other act to go. Yeah, there really is, and like comedies, you've got to have a lot of jokes in there to keep something going for 2 hours when it comes to comedy. But I must say, I was never bored, and I was never waiting for it to finish. It was always consistently funny, and it went in some different, it did some different things I never really expected. There was some weird stuff towards the end that I thought fell flat, like when he was, when all the CGI effects started getting thrown into things. Although we did get the mustache song again, so that was good. Oh, I remember that bit, yeah, that was good. I was trying to work out which CG you were talking about. Yeah, there's some strange stuff later on that fell a bit flat for me. It was a bit too... I don't know, man. It just like seemed to think like, oh, Aunt Dick's funny, and I was like, well, not that funny.
Yeah.
I don't know, but and I was also very, very both happy and kind of like, I don't know, exacerbated. Just like, oh, God's sake, that Wes Studi makes an appearance as the Indian chief, and it's just like, oh God, you need an Indian, get him in. The guy does fucking anything.
Is he in Cowboys and Aliens?
Is he? No, I don't
know.
Think he is.
That whole scene when he's around the Indian campfire just looks like shot for shot when they're in Cowboys and Aliens.
No, he's not in Cowboys and Aliens, which is a nice fucking change. They made a film about Indians. I mean, no, but like, this guy's he's one of these guys who just turns up in everything.
Yeah.
But at least I know him from mostly is he's the kind of villain in The Last of the Mohicans. He's like I can't remember, is it Magua or something like that who goes around killing loads of people. He's a real bastard at that. He's awesome. But he's just kind of. He's just somebody who pops up, and I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ, Wes Studi's in it." I saw his name pop up on the credits, and I knew straight away he would be like the Indian chief that would inevitably show up. So that was nice to see. I wasn't too disappointed. So yeah, like there seems to be there's something else probably worth mentioning. We talked a bit about before we started recording, but there's a lot of quite fun cameos, both subtle and like ridiculous.
Yeah, like there's some that are just so in your face. If you were to describe the most cheesy way to do some cameos, they tick every box on that list.
Oh God, yeah, the one we were talking about a certain other franchise that makes an appearance. It is very much just to have it in there. It like serves nothing. It's practically as close to a Family Guy cutaway joke.
Yeah,
as
it
you
really
can
is.
get.
I was just going to say that, and it's like. Every single cliche from that franchise is mentioned within about 5 seconds.
Oh God, like yeah, there's a certain catchphrase that gets uttered, and it's so wedged in there, it's fucking ridiculous.
It's like the catchphrase is wedged into the scene, which is itself wedged in.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. And the thing is though, I still liked it. I thought,
yeah, me too.
It was fun, and it didn't really spoil the film. The film's silly anyway, so it was kind of just fun anyway. I didn't mind. But there was another one kind of thing is that another cutaway joke is there was another one after like the film ends, fades to black, and then it fades back in and shows like another cameo.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jesus, they just couldn't work that into the main body of the film, could they? They just wanted it in for the sake of it. And while I liked it because it was funny, yeah, you're right, it was good. It was very forced.
But yeah, there's some that you've mentioned that I didn't even notice. That's how subtle they are as well.
Yeah, there's others that aren't characters popping up, but they're actually just like Seth MacFarlane's celebrity friends.
They're just like some people don't have a line, some people just have one line, and like there's one that is right in your face, but he just doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
They're all funny though. I do like a cameo, and when you're doing a silly film like this, the more the better.
Yeah, well, that's it. It doesn't really matter if they're well done, like, or cleverly done. It's kind of something that's funny, and most of them were, for that matter. They're either funny or over so quickly it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
So, there's no real complaints with regards to that. So, yeah, I don't know, really. There's not a lot more to really say about this film.
No.
It was way better than I thought it was going to be. It was quite funny. It wasn't. I don't think it's going to replace Blazing Saddles as the kind of I don't know the paragon of that particular genre.
No, it's probably if I was to go back and like if I was just had a Saturday afternoon like on the couch and I was just flicking through and Blazing Saddles and A Million Ways to Die in the West was on, I'd probably watch this one more than Blazing Saddles because I just feel it's a bit more watchable.
You can kind of drop in and out of it as well.
Yeah,
it's almost it doesn't. It feels like something you can watch in segments and not really lose anything. Whereas Blazing Saddles has it's got a stronger narrative.
Yeah.
Whereas this was very much like Seth MacFarlane, Charlize Theron mill about a town and make jokes for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
I gotta say, actually,
no, I'd like to do that.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I haven't, we haven't really said much, but I really like Charlize Theron in this movie. I usually do like her, but she was like, I don't know, she was just, she had something that was very likable about her. Her character was like maybe like too fucking perfect in like how nice she was and how cool she was. And,
yeah, you may be right, but again, it's a complete fantasy, silly narrative, so she fit right in with being a bit unrealistic. But I loved her. She was She was just such a likable character, and considering how flawed everyone else in the film is, even like Seth and his friends, well, we've got into why they're flawed. They might not be nasty people, but they're flawed.
Oh yeah, they're deeply flawed.
But yeah, she really holds it together, I felt, as well at times.
Yeah, she did. She was like, I don't know, she acted as like a really good double act with Seth MacFarlane, whereas he was sometimes going off a bit too in a being Seth MacFarlane rather than the character. She kind of reined it in a little bit and brought it back, and she was just Anna and brought him back just to being Albert a little bit. But I did really like her in this film. I thought she was probably the highlight of it. I'll tell you something else I liked. He wasn't in it much, and he's not really well known, but it's a guy called Christopher Hagan who plays Seth MacFarlane's father in this.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was, but he was funny.
He only has, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 of the best jokes in this film.
Yeah. And he only has like 4 or 5 lines.
No, every time he's on, he's really fucking funny, and I liked him. And god damn it, he just looks like this rough fucker from the West. He just looks the part as well. Yeah. It's really funny. But yeah, I really did like him. So yeah, I mean, I don't think I have much more to say about this film. Do you?
No, I think we've covered everything. It's definitely a one that if you've got your unlimited card, you've got to go see it, because you're not going to lose anything. But maybe if you play full price, you might come away feeling a shade hard done by. But it's a very good film. Well, it might not be a great film, but it's very enjoyable.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd kind of say, if you're a fan of Seth MacFarlane, yeah, by all means, go and see it at full price. In fact, you probably already have. Yeah, because it's been out a week. Let's face it, he's got his fan base, and they'll go and see it regardless of reviews because they want to see it and make their own minds up. I'd say if you're a casual, if you enjoyed Ted, or you've seen Family Guy and you've enjoyed what you've seen of it, or you're just in the mood for a decent comedy, go on Cheap Tuesdays. Cheap Tuesdays are always a good idea. Go get a discounted showing, and you'll probably not feel too wronged. I don't think this is as good as. I don't think this is quite as good as Ted.
Ted was definitely funnier.
Yeah.
More
I think Ted was a stronger film because it had a clever idea at its centre, whereas this was kind of like Blazing Saddles light. Yeah.
Whereas Ted was completely original for the most part.
And I could seeing the making Ted 2, I can kind of see that. Yeah, or you might have enough material there to make a sequel. Whereas this, I don't think they'll ever see another Western comedy from Seth MacFarlane.
No, I think he's done. I want to see him do a sci-fi or something, but
I just want to see him do a fucking musical.
Yeah,
because he loves musicals. He's got a really good song in this. He's always putting songs in his TV shows. He just wants to do a musical, so he should just get off his fucking plate and do it. I think it'd be really funny, to be honest. If he did a musical, it'd probably be his funniest film.
Yeah,
because his songs are great. So you never know, we might get there. Hell, if this film had been a musical, it might have elevated a little bit.
Yeah, Western musicals are always good.
Yeah, Oklahoma. And is Oklahoma technically a Western?
I guess it is.
Kind of. It's got Wolverine in it.
Yeah.
Alright then, so for A Million Ways to Die in the West, one more. It's a decent film. Go and see it if you like Seth MacFarlane, or catch a cheap show if you're not too big of a fan, but in the mood for a good movie.
Yeah, it's definitely not deserving of the negativity it's been getting. I'll definitely say that much.
No, I've heard some really bad things about it, and nowhere near went that bad with it. How many stars would you give it? I
give it 3. It should be more consistent with its humour. And if I'm rating it as a comedy, which it is, I don't think I can give it more than that, because it was always entertaining, but there was times when there was just too long in between jokes.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd give it 3 stars as well. When it was funny, it was very funny. For the rest of the time, it was okay. It was that trademark Seth MacFarlane humour. There was nothing really new here. Charlize Theron was good, but 3 stars is it's a fair rating for this.
I know you're here, Stark.
Watch and learn.
You really do have a death wish, don't you?
Oh, wait. Look at this. Look at our shadows. We barely know each other, but hey, when it's right, huh? I'll give you a little tap on the hat when I'm good to go, okay?
What the?
A Million Ways to Die in the West.